Most men think attraction is about what they say, but when a woman desires an older man, she's not listening. She's watching how he answers two questions that decide everything. These questions are never asked directly, they sound harmless. But your response tells her whether you are anchored or just another aging man chasing. Validation. Women who are drawn to older men are not looking for rescue, money, or authority. They are looking for emotional gravity. Someone who doesn't tip over when challenged. Someone who doesn't explain himself into irrelevance. And when interest appears, two psychological tests emerge. When a woman is drawn to an older man, her desire does not arrive as a rush or fantasy. It forms through observation. Mature attraction is slow, quiet, and deeply selective. By the time she feels interest, she is already measuring safety, consistency, and emotional depth. This is not because she is cold, but because experience has taught her that charm fades and words collapse under pressure. She evaluates before she invests. She notices how he reacts when things do not go his way, how he treats people who offer him nothing, and how stable he remains when attention is removed. Desire grows when his behavior matches his identity over time. This evaluation is not conscious testing in a manipulative sense. It happens automatically. Her nervous system is asking whether this man will add peace or tension to her life. Younger attraction may be driven by excitement or novelty, but mature desire is guided by regulation. She watches whether he rushes to impress, whether he needs reassurance, or whether he stays relaxed without trying to win. An older man who is centered does not perform for desire. He allows space. That restraint communicates confidence more loudly than compliments ever could. She also evaluates emotional honesty, not emotional dumping, not oversharing, but clarity. Can he name what he wants without apology? Can he tolerate her autonomy without subtle control? Can he disagree without turning cold or aggressive? These moments shape desire more than appearance or status. The attraction deepens when she senses that his presence is predictable in the best way, grounded and emotionally intact. This is why many men feel confused when interest fades suddenly. The evaluation was happening long before attraction appeared, through silence, pauses, and small reactions that revealed far more than words ever could. When a woman feels desire for an older man, she is not looking for power displays or dominance in the traditional sense. What she is assessing is emotional regulation. She is watching how he manages himself when something does not align with his expectations. Emotional regulation signals safety. It tells her that this man will not become unpredictable, reactive, or controlling when challenged. Desire grows in the presence of calm strength, not force. A regulated man does not raise his voice to feel powerful, does not withdraw to punish, and does not seek control to soothe insecurity. These observations happen in small moments. How he reacts when plans change, how he handles disagreement without turning it into a battle, whether he listens fully or waits to assert himself. Dominance that is loud often comes from inner instability. Emotional regulation, on the other hand, reflects inner order. It shows that a man has faced his own fears, impulses, and disappointments and learned how to carry them without leaking them onto others. This creates trust at a nervous system level, where attraction either stabilizes or collapses. Many men misunderstand this and attempt to appear strong by being rigid, dismissive, or overly authoritative. This backfires. A woman does not feel drawn to someone who needs to dominate the emotional space. She feels drawn to someone who can hold it. A regulated man remains present even when emotions rise. He does not need to win every exchange. He can pause, reflect, and respond instead of reacting. This restraint is not weakness, it is discipline. Over time, she begins to associate his presence with calm and clarity. Her body relaxes around him. Conversations feel grounded instead of draining. Desire strengthens because she senses that being close to him will not cost her emotional energy. She feels free to be herself without managing his moods or walking on emotional landmines. That sense of ease is what transforms interest into attraction and attraction into longing. When desire forms around an older man, a woman is not measuring how impressive he is when everything is smooth. She is paying attention to how he behaves when pressure enters the space. Stability under pressure is one of the strongest signals of maturity. Life has already taught her that everyone can be charming when things go their way. What separates men is how they respond when something is questioned, delayed, or challenged. She watches whether tension makes him sharper or steadier, reactive or reflective. Pressure appears in subtle ways: a difference of opinion, a delayed reply, a boundary she sets without explanation. These moments reveal whether a man's confidence is internal or borrowed from approval. An unstable man becomes restless under pressure. He explains too much, pushes for clarity, or tries to regain control. His behavior shifts because his sense of self depends on the outcome. That shift is immediately felt. It creates unease, even if nothing obvious is said. A stable man does not rush to restore comfort. He allows silence without anxiety. He accepts uncertainty without demanding reassurance. His tone remains consistent whether things are aligned or not. This consistency tells her that his identity is not fragile. He does not need the interaction to validate him. Pressure does not provoke performance because he is already anchored within himself. This quality is deeply attractive because it signals reliability. It suggests that future stress will not turn into emotional chaos. She senses that disagreements will not become power struggles and distance will not trigger punishment or withdrawal. His steadiness communicates that he can lead himself first, which makes space for connection rather than tension. Many men lose attraction not through mistakes but through pressure leaks. Small changes in tone, posture, or pacing reveal inner instability. Women notice these shifts instinctively. Desire fades not because of conflict, but because the man could not remain himself when the moment required composure. When a woman desires an older man, the tests she presents are rarely obvious or confrontational. They are woven into ordinary conversation, casual remarks, or passing questions that seem insignificant on the surface. This is because mature evaluation does not need drama. She is not trying to trap him or provoke a reaction. Her mind is simply observing patterns. Casual questions allow her to see his natural responses before he has time to manage his image. In those unguarded moments, truth shows itself. She may ask something that sounds light, even playful, or make a comment that slightly shifts the emotional tone. The content of the question is irrelevant. What matters is how his body, tone, and pacing respond. Does he tense up? Does his voice change? Does he rush to justify himself or seek approval? These micro reactions reveal more than any confident statement ever could. Casual settings remove performance and expose regulation. This is why many men misread these moments. They assume attraction is decided through clear signals or direct interest. In reality, desire is being evaluated quietly long before anything becomes explicit. The woman is watching whether his sense of self remains intact when the conversation moves slightly off balance. She is sensing whether he stays relaxed or becomes alert and self conscious. The test is subtle because real confidence does not require confrontation to be revealed. An older man who understands himself does not overinterpret these moments. He answers simply, he stays present. He does not try to impress or steer the interaction back to safety. His ease communicates security. Because the exchange feels natural, she feels safe to continue observing. When a man fails these quiet tests, he often never realizes it. The interaction remains polite, even warm, but desire does not progress. These casual questions are not about information. They are about emotional posture. They show whether a man lives inside his identity or constantly checks himself against external response. Women rely on these moments because they bypass words and speak directly to the nervous system, where attraction quietly forms or dissolves. The wrong answer exposes insecurity or ego fragility because it reveals how much a man's sense of self depends on being approved, admired, or agreed with. When a woman is already interested, she becomes especially sensitive to this. She is not judging his opinion or his past. She is watching how tightly he clings to being seen a certain way. Insecurity appears when a man overexplains himself, rushes to correct her perception, or subtly seeks reassurance that he is still valued. Ego fragility appears when disagreement feels like disrespect and curiosity feels like a threat. These reactions are rarely loud. They often show up as tension in the voice, forced humor, defensiveness disguised as logic, or a sudden shift in tone. A man may start listing achievements, clarifying intentions that were never questioned, or positioning himself as misunderstood. In doing so, he signals that his inner stability is conditional. His confidence exists only as long as nothing challenges it. This creates emotional work for the woman, even if she cannot name it clearly. From her perspective, this is costly. She senses that future disagreements will require managing his reactions, that expressing herself freely may trigger explanations, withdrawal, or subtle punishment. Desire does not thrive where self-expression feels risky. Ego fragility turns interaction into negotiation. Instead of feeling met, she feels responsible for preserving his emotional balance. Many men believe strength means asserting themselves harder in these moments. This deepens the problem. The more a man pushes to protect his image, the more transparent the insecurity becomes. True confidence does not need defense. It does not rush to repair impressions or demand alignment. When a man cannot tolerate mild challenge without self-correction or emotional leakage, it signals unfinished inner work. Attraction is not withdrawn out of cruelty. It fades as a form of self-protection. The woman's nervous system reads fragility as instability, and instability as future exhaustion. Without a word spoken, her body begins to close, not because he failed morally, but because he revealed a self that cannot yet stand comfortably on its own. The right answer signals self-containment and self-trust because it shows that a man is anchored in who he is, independent of her reactions or approval. When a woman poses subtle tests, she is seeking a sense of safety. She wants to know that this man can hold his emotional center without collapsing or overcompensating. Self-containment is visible not through words alone, but through tone, pacing, and the calmness of presence. A man who embodies this does not react defensively, over-explain, or attempt to control the outcome. Instead, he responds briefly, honestly, and with steady composure, communicating that his sense of value is internal, not borrowed from external validation. Self-trust reinforces desire because it signals reliability and predictability in a world that is often unpredictable. When she senses that he can tolerate ambiguity, disagreement, or independence without threat, her nervous system relaxes. She feels allowed to be herself without calculating every word or action. This is deeply attractive because it signals that he can meet challenges without turning tension into drama. He demonstrates, without announcing it, that he is capable of handling life and relationships from a place of stability rather than fear. This is why many older men miss the mark. They either perform confidence or mask insecurity. Performing is fragile. It requires constant adjustment to maintain appearances. Masking may hide insecurity temporarily, but micro expressions, tone shifts, and small behaviors reveal it unconsciously. Women notice these subtle leaks instantly, even if the words spoken seem confident. True self-containment cannot be feigned consistently because it arises from an internal alignment of identity, values, and emotional regulation. The man who passes this unspoken test is not trying to impress. He is simply present. He does not need her desire to validate him, nor does he need to control her reactions. That quiet stability communicates security, strength, and trustworthiness, the core signals that transform mere interest into genuine, lasting attraction. These tests are subconscious, not manipulative, because a woman rarely sets out with a strategy to catch a man. She is not plotting or scheming. She is quietly observing whether he matches the level of emotional maturity she needs to feel safe and drawn. The tests emerge naturally in conversation, in subtle challenges, in the way she expresses her independence or curiosity. She is reading his nervous system, not grading his logic or charm. Her desire is guided by instinct and experience, not conscious calculation. Every small reaction, pause, or tone shift communicates far more than words ever could. A man often misinterprets these moments as challenges to his authority, tests of his knowledge, or invitations to debate. That misunderstanding creates tension and can unintentionally reveal insecurity. In reality, she is checking whether he can remain steady under mild stress, whether he can tolerate difference without retreating, and whether he can respond with composure instead of defensiveness. These are not tricks, they are the natural signals that attraction relies on at a subconscious level. Women have learned through observation and lived experience that those who fail these subtle tests often cannot carry themselves reliably in deeper, more meaningful ways. Her subconscious is filtering for trustworthiness and self regulation